I think I have to get some work done.
This is a place.
This is a place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Welcome to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon, and I'm joined by a man who is going to scare the yell out of you, Nate.
That's right.
Nate, this is our second time doing this episode. Is it not?
Yeah, it sucks to be us.
But hey, we're fantastic enough that people will still listen.
Bite me.
We did, we're not doing the whole episode again, but for some reason, we had some spoilers for the new Hocus Pocus movie.
Yeah, we spent a good 10-15 minutes talking about Hocus Pocus 2. And for some reason, the audio skipped out, which my conspiracy theory is Disney's always listening. And Disney didn't want us to spoil anything for our fans. So they somehow scrambled our earlier recording. So I guess all we'll say is Hocus Pocus 2. Go see it for yourselves. Let us know what you think.
Right. So we may have some callbacks in the audio you'll hear if things don't make sense. But just so you know, we talked about Hocus Pocus. And we have a guest on for this episode. Big surprise. His name is Matt. You may have heard his voice before. We'll jump into it from there.
Is this where we cue the song Dracula? Even though it's not Dracula.
Dracula.
You know, Rob Zombie's song, Dracula? Which isn't Dracula the name of, like, the car in Monsters?
Yeah, it is.
So, but in my mind, I'm always thinking Dracula when I hear that song. But
well, that brings up another point. Have you watched the Rob Zombie remake of Monsters on Netflix?
oh, is it out now?
It is.
I haven't, man, I pay so much money for Netflix and all it's good for is Cobra Kai. So it's the only show I'm really on top of. And I didn't realize either, going back to Disney, Matt, that Game Changer season 2 has started, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen any advertisement for it, and I stumbled across it.
Well, I saw the mom was on a talk show and I flipped through channels last week, and then she was talking about it. I'm like, huh. And then the other day, I'm like, I wonder when it comes out. I'm like, oh, they've already started it. But I might wait until all the seasons are already out and then binge it, because I hate waiting week to week.
It's not like it's a super high quality show anyway. It's just fun.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? It's just and then I don't remember what happened, and then you have to rewatch it, and you're like, ah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised by that. Stumbling across that it had started, and I haven't seen any advertising for it at all. No promotions.
All out on Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, their focus is on Hocus Pocus.
And Star Wars. I told Brandon, if people like Hocus Pocus 2 enough, then we're gonna get a third movie, because they tease that at the end of the third movie. And then we're gonna get a TV show that's gonna explain more of the universe, and then we're gonna get a prequel to show how to bridge the gap between the intro of Hocus Pocus 2 and where they end up in Hocus Pocus. Because that's what Disney does, is if somebody likes it, it's like, well, let's throw everything we can at it.
They can't leave money on the table.
So
well, how does it work though when they release it straight to streaming? How does I don't get it. How do they make money? Or why does it matter if it does well or not? Or how do they decide, okay, we should make a third one because we'll make more money?
I think it depends if people are signing up around the time they release something.
And keeping their subscriptions, or how many people signed up because they wanted to watch it.
Right.
But Well, one last comment on Hocus Pocus. Didn't the original movie, like, it went out in theaters, right? And didn't it bomb
Yeah.
in theaters?
Yeah,
And then it
it
became
did.
like a cult thing?
Did it even come out at Halloween time? That's probably why, is because it was released in July of 1993.
Yeah. It's a good time to release
I,
a Halloween movie.
I guess maybe they were anticipating it coming out on VHS in October.
I was just gonna say that does make sense that they would do a Halloween movie in July to so they could have it out on VHS because that's probably when it became a hit was VHS. Like I don't
Yeah.
know what the scene was like in 1993, but
Well, wasn't there a name for that, like when a movie would bomb, but it did real well on video?
Cult classic?
Well, not cult, maybe like for example, Tommy Boy. I don't think did very well in theaters, but when it came out VHS, Night at the Roxbury was the same thing. Um, I thought they had like some phrase for it, but one thing that's interesting too, Halloween movie. The is it called Halloween Ends or something like that, or
Mm-hmm. I
it
think
doesn't
so.
come out for till like mid October. Like, why don't they take advantage of all of October, or are they trying to really capitalize on that?
Opening weekend.
Well, yeah, the whole Halloween thing. So, anywho,
We can
that's a
talk about
subject for another
Halloween
day. We'll
later.
talk about that later. We'll bring it up.
We'll bring it up later.
Remind me. Um, but yeah, let's talk about Dracula.
Dracula's castle, to be exact.
Yeah, and he does not say it. Blah 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 blah.
Matt, why don't you tell us what Dracula's castle is?
all right. So Dracula's Castle, for people that grew up in Utah, uh, or people specifically that went to Lagoon, it is a dark ride. It's a scary dark ride. It's Dracula, of course. Um, and it opened in 1974. And I didn't know this. So I was watching, there's this YouTuber I occasionally watch. And Brendan, you're a fan of him too. Uh, I totally just blanked his name. Oh my
Jacob the
gosh.
carpetbagger?
Jacob the Carpetbagger. Yeah, so I like him. And he went to Lagoon like last summer, 2 summers ago. And he was really excited to ride these, both the Terror Ride and Dracula's Castle, because they're built by Bill Tracy. Um, it was a Bill Tracy dark ride, and that to him was like made it famous, which is something I had no idea about. So Bill Tracy did a bunch of dark rides, and so this is one of his dark rides. And there's still some original scenes from when he built it in 1974, which is pretty cool. So uh, yeah, you go through on this dark ride, and there's scary scenes. There used to be Dracula in there. He's not there anymore, but he is outside if you know to look for him, which is pretty cool. Brandon and I went to Frightmares a few weeks ago, and we both talked about this. And I'm curious, Nate, if it's the same for you. Like when we went as little kids, I always hoped that for whatever reason, I would take a different path and go upstairs because on the facade of the building, there's windows, like there's a second story. And so I always hoped that I would go to that second story and thought maybe there used to be the ride up there. And that one year they would change it. But obviously that never happened. Nate, was that a dream of yours? Did you always want to go to the second floor?
No, my dream was always to go to Lagoon with you, but it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, yeah.
We have gone to Lagoon together. Just not
No, I,
Frightmares.
I have
That's
gone
true.
to
Sorry.
Lagoon with you.
That's true. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Frightmares. Go to Frightmares with you.
yeah, take that joke back.
Take it back. I just want to see you and Brandon in a haunted house at the same time.
Oh, it's a sight to see.
Well, how did you guys handle doing Dracula's Castle together?
We
Did
both
you
plugged.
take your own carts or did you hold each other close? One
Yeah.
cart.
Yeah, we went together. There's enough space for
Yeah,
two.
absolutely. Honestly, I'm more scared. I wouldn't say scared, but I feel more uncomfortable in Dracula's Castle and Terror Ride than I do in haunted houses because there's an element of surprise, but they can't always control the surprise perfectly in a haunted house because you can go in any direction. Whereas when you're riding in a haunted house, you have nowhere to go. You're in a cart that's taking you places.
Right.
And it's always perfectly timed scares. So like, I mean, even though I went in that my whole life growing up, it's still like a bit scary of like just because it's better planned.
That's a good point. We went this weekend. My family went, and there's 5 of us, and my kids are getting just so big now. We can't do the rides where you have 3 people in a cart, like especially what's the Jetstar. We tried to squeeze 3 of us in, and it was
in the back.
It was tight. Yeah, in the back. It was me, my wife, my daughter, and it was super tight. Poor Scarlett sitting up. So we're gonna have to start taking like an extra person with us to make sure we can get on Jetstar. But so the going back to Dracula's castle, I'm like, I didn't want to squeeze in, so I'm like, one of us is gonna have to go by ourselves, and I was the odd man out, so I went by myself, and it's a different experience going through the house like you're talking about, Matt, by yourself. And it's not necessarily because the attraction's scary, but I'm like, well, this is like how every horror movie starts. Some guys and anyways, because anybody could just come running out and grab you, and you're stuck in a cart, can't defend yourself. So it was a little creepier. I'll admit, being by myself than it was being in a cart with somebody.
I used to be so scared of Dracula's castle when I was a kid. Still a little bit today, as we're talking about. But I had the same thought as Matt, that it had 2 stories. Because there was many years I wouldn't go on it, so I just would talk to my parents about the ride. Because I wanted to go on it, but I didn't want to go on it. I just wanted to know what it was about and know so I could be prepared for it someday when I went on it. That one, it does have some scary moments to it. If you're not prepared, and sometimes not all the elements work, I will say. Some of the scares happen at some times and others don't work. So it just kind of depends on the night you're going, I guess. So you need to be ready for it when it happens. You need to know what's around the corner, or you're going to be surprised.
I always forget when I go to Dracula's castle that they don't have that loud horn at the end, because I'm always waiting for that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the terror ride.
Brandon forgot about that horn this year
I
when
did.
we went on Terror Ride. It scared him so bad, and I was like, how could you forget about that? But I was gonna say the scariest thing about Dracula's castle right now is Frankenstein's hands. That's probably the scariest thing.
His duct tape
Like,
hands.
yeah, it's like bad duct tape or electrical tape. It's clearly like it's very visible that his hands are taped on and like fingers have fallen off. Like, how hard is it? Well, Nate, you talked about the time where like the hand was spinning or something, like when he was coming towards you and the hand was like freaking out because it had fallen off and they tried to fix it. That's like the scariest thing. Like, they should fix that.
It really could end up being a horror movie if they don't fix these things, because things could go wrong and it could be your last ride on Dracula's castle.
Now that makes it even scarier to ride.
I've been watching videos today of Dracula's castle, and generally on YouTube, the oldest videos you're gonna find are around 13. That's a pretty like old video on YouTube. And so I was looking for videos specifically of the owl because I have very like strong memories of back in the day when you'd walk into Lagoon. You could hear him walking down like the main entrance and not even going towards the haunted house. You could hear him. And I was trying to find videos of that, and I could not find videos of like what I thought the original voice actor sounded like. And 13 years ago was again the oldest one I found. There was this weird phase where they like changed it from the original, but then that it's been changed since then too. So there's this whole
Yeah, they updated it in
phase.
2010.
Yeah, this whole phase I'm not even aware of because I don't think I ever went on it during that time. So, but the owl, let me know if you guys remember this. He would tell jokes, and one of them was about the Beatles or something, and he would say, "I want to hold your hand," and then do like his laugh. That's like burned in my memory. Does that ring a bell for either of you?
It's only in my memory from you telling me about it.
I don't remember.
I wonder if we could get the original recording from Lagoon. Probably not.
They won't even
I
let you
tried
record
to.
in the haunted houses, so
Yeah, well, you can record in the rides.
yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
tried when we went through Dracula's castle. I thought I was recording the whole time, and I must have like hit the button, so I only got me going through the door. That was it.
Maybe they turned your camera off by the ghouls. The ghouls turned your camera off.
That's a good point.
When Matt and I went through, when we went to Frightmares, we were asking the lady, the ride attendant, about the cars. We were speculating if they were coffins, and there's this really great resource for all things Lagoon, to be honest. The Lagoon History Project. I don't know who runs it, but it's got so much information, and this person has done their research. But they make a case that the ride vehicles are modeled off after the Reliant Bond Bug in England. Here's a picture of them, and it looks just like that.
That's true.
On that, because I saw that I was reading that same thing. The thing that I noticed when I was like, oh, that makes sense, is that it was designed to be really low to the ground to make it really hard for people to get out of during the ride. And I was like, oh, that actually makes sense because it is a weird cart you sit in it. When we asked the lady, and she said, no, I don't think it was a coffin or whatever. And I said, I feel like you're tucking me into bed.
Yeah,
Which might have been weird for her, but that's what it feels like, is like the cover goes up to your chest. And so it's like I'm being tucked into bed.
Well, that's a good point. Never thought of, Matt, is that I felt like the ride, even though the line never seems to be super long, it takes a minute to get on because it takes a while to get out of the cart. I feel like it's one of the harder rides to get out of at Lagoon.
it's not a very ADA friendly ride, or if you have a little extra weight.
I can get out just fine. That's what you're trying to say. I'm faster than I look, but I just feel like a lot of people struggle getting out of the ride. Because you would think it would just be like a continuous flow of the line, right? Because you just got one car comes, one person gets out. But I feel like the line, it takes a minute to get on that ride, even if there's not a big line.
I wonder how many cars they have going at a time.
Brandon, you sent that video today, and it's only a year old, but it's in the morning when they have all the carts up front, and I counted five, I think, which is crazy. Yeah, there's only five cars going at once.
Guess they don't want you to see other people in the ride.
I mean, that makes sense.
The sad thing about a small local amusement park like this, like Lagoon, is it's not as well documented as other things would be. For example, a Disneyland ride. Sounds like it's changed a lot over the years from when it first opened. As Matt was saying, that some of the elements of the Bill Tracy original are still there, but other things have been changed and moved from Terror Ride to this ride when they did refurbishment a couple years ago. But a lot of people sharing what it used to be with different rooms and lots of strobe lights. But I think the thing that everyone speculates on, everyone has a theory about, is the spinning tunnel.
Why it's not spinning anymore? What's the theories? I was wondering the same thing.
What's your theory?
Because it just broke and they don't want to do it? Fix it?
No, it's not broken. So what the lady in the video that I sent to Matt, the behind the scenes, and this website, this Lagoon History Project, both talk about, it's not broken. The problem is, even though you're so low in the car, you can still, that tunnel is really, really small. But I did touch the tunnel because I wanted to see if I could even spin it a little bit. But I think that was the reason, and what both people said is people were getting their fingers stuck, their hair stuck in the tunnel, and it just became too problematic and too dangerous to have it running, as well as it made people sick from the sensation.
Well, Brandon, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Because on Lagoon history, Jay says, if I may, I'd like to clarify some of your facts on Dracula's castle, and that's what I'm doing to you right now, Brandon.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'd like to clarify some of your facts on Dracula Castle's tunnels at Lagoon. If I can verify that this assumption that the tunnels broke down and were simply never fixed is not an assumption, it is really what happened. I know this because I was a supervisor on the ride the year we decided to do this and had deciding power in this matter.
Interesting. Oh, that was one of the comments. I see it now.
Yeah, Jay. But who knows if that's right? But yeah, those are the two. Nate said it, assumed that it broke down and they never fixed it, and the other is you could easily touch it, and maybe both are true. Maybe they were going to shut it down and then it broke all at the same time. But yeah, I was always curious how long that hasn't been working, and in that video, the lady says it hasn't been working since the late 80s, I think. So Nate, do you ever remember it spinning?
I feel like I do, but maybe it never has.
My parents both have stated they remember it spinning.
When I was a kid, I went to Lagoon a ton. We'd get season passes and go a ton. My siblings or my parents would always tell me that it used to spin. And in my head, I don't know how this works, but I thought it spun end to end. So you'd enter the tunnel and the whole tunnel would do a 360. Not
Oh,
not that the walls around you were spinning in a circle. And I was like, that's a cool effect. Like that's what my mind went. So I never put it together that the walls were spinning around you.
It would be
Anyway,
cool if they made it spin again and then they added audio to it. It said, "Is this tunnel actually spinning, or is it your imagination?"
and then they get sued by Disney.
you know, when you're in the stretching room and people start reciting it, that is like the most annoying thing ever. So you just saying that made me angry.
I triggered
But
you a little
anyway,
bit.
going back to Nate saying they're suing or Disney would sue them. I wonder if they have permission to use going to the very beginning of the ride. They play the music from The Exorcist.
Yeah, they do.
I always wonder, do they have permission for that? Or they're like, well, we're small enough. Who's going to report us? Nobody's going to care. And they just play it. Like, do you think they have permission? Same, they have Peter Pan or Hook, music from Hook on one of the kiddie rides. And I always think, like, do they have permission for this? Or they just know they're never going to be in trouble, so they play it?
Good question.
I don't know.
I didn't know we were going to be quiz today, Matt. Sorry.
I was going to say, do we want to just go through the ride?
Sure. Well, you start with the owl. Who's saying something?
Who's saying
You
something?
can't hear him, though.
You can't hear him anymore. You used to.
It's basically worthless to have him there, and in the middle of the ride where you don't even go. He's in the spot in between where you get on and get off, so you never actually pass the owl.
I feel like, and I said this before, he used to be one louder than 10, I feel like, because you would walk by on that pathway and you could hear him like talking. It used to be way loud. Now you can't even hear him when you're standing in line.
Mm-mm. So you go into the doors and you go down a long hallway of portraits.
And I love how the doors slam open.
Yeah. All the doors in these Lagoon rides do that same slam.
But this one's, I think, really intentional.
Yeah. So you go down the long hallway. I don't actually remember any of the portraits along the hallway because I'm so worried about the last portrait at the very top of the hallway, which you think is just a nice looking lady sitting there. But then she screams and turns into a witch-looking thing. So
I can hear that scream in my head.
Yeah, I'm always plugging my ears at that part. From there, we go through another hallway. We go through a tunnel that's in that video Matt and I watched, a shark.
Did you know it was a shark?
I didn't.
I had no idea.
I wonder if that
Now
was an
it makes
assumption.
sense. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
hear
looks
the
like a shark.
witch. I think you hear the witch laugh. Can we assume that's the witch laughing?
Sure.
Because she screams and then you hear the laugh.
I've never picked up on that.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's Frankenstein, your favorite, right?
Frankenstein in his hands.
Let's hear the sound, Matt.
Do woo.
If the sound's working, it doesn't always work.
No.
And then you see my favorite character, Headless Horseman, who was an addition within the last 20 years.
What was there before? Do you remember?
I don't know. I can't find a video or anything, so...
Nate? I feel like it was like a hearse or like a something. Nate, do you remember?
I do not.
Huh.
We forgot the wonderful effect, though, as you're going towards the Headless Horseman, is there's that long path that looks like you're going to go on, but then you turn and you actually don't go on it.
Right. Like if there's
Very
a roadrunner, yeah, the roadrunner would smash into that wall.
Good point. And then you go into the room where Dracula used to be. And this is my biggest gripe with the ride, is it's called Dracula's Castle. He's on the outside in one of the column things standing there, along with a wolf on the other side. But why is Dracula not actually in his castle at all?
Because you are Dracula.
Oh. Good point.
I don't know.
I could see that. But I used to be in that room right up against the wall, and I want to say there was even a time when I went within the last couple of years, and they had some sort of Dracula there, but then he's gone. So then they have, it's just kind of a creature room now. They got a big mouse that used to be in Terror Ride, the gorilla that was a part of the Funhouse, the shack from back in the day.
Yeah.
What else is in there?
The werewolves.
The werewolves.
That's what took Dracula's place, was the werewolves.
That's right.
And the mouse.
Also, I remember this part. These spinning spikes, and a guy was on top of it, and that is now in the Terror Ride, I believe, or something like it.
Yeah. And there used to be, I think, so I can never tell, but I couldn't tell if it was a coffin, but there's a lady in there. I think it's an Iron Maiden.
Yeah, there's videos where you can see that.
It has the spikes in it, which would make it an Iron Maiden,
Right.
which is my favorite metal band. And definitely better than Metallica.
You're lucky you were not in the same room as me right now, Matt. You get a beat down.
And then from there you get the guy who's being electrocuted, this electrocuted skeleton. And then the really long mine shaft scene where the skeleton does the dynamite and it cracks a piece of the mine ceiling. And then what's the most puzzling thing to me, that other creature on the horse or whatever it is in the mine, I don't know what that is.
It's a camel.
A camel?
A horse. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know if you remember this as a kid, but occasionally, like growing up, occasionally people would go in there and jump out at you.
Yeah, I remember.
And this seemed to be the most common place where, like, starting with the guy in the electric chair, there'd be somebody hiding there. like on the corner on your left side. And then same when you would go around through the mine, there would be people hiding behind the like mine boards, the wood holding up the wall, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I was always terrified of that area, waiting for somebody to jump out.
Yeah, I still have that fear that when it's Frightmares, they're going to put people in there, but I don't think they have enough people to do that, so I'm not going to complain about it.
No, they don't.
And then where do we go from there? We go through the kind of
Are they
crypt
caves? Oh yeah, they're crypt. It's a crypt.
with all the puns. Nate's favorite
Oh
section.
no, before that,
What's that?
like in the there's like the mining, and then when you
Oh
turn,
yeah,
are you in cave? I think it's a
yeah, it's
cave
kind of
because
caves.
there's stalagmites and the other one.
Yeah, and there's a scary spot. Something sometimes will pop out, but I feel it's one of the least working elements of the.
There is.
Yeah, one of the caves. This monkey-looking thing kind of pops out and scares you,
I
but
have no idea what you're talking about. That's crazy.
it usually doesn't work. That's why.
Huh. You'll have to point it out next time.
Yeah, and then from there you go to the I don't know, kind of like a mortuary, I guess.
Yeah. Oh,
With
you're
all the
missing another piece.
ah, gosh dang it. What else?
There's like the skulls and the
Oh,
water
okay.
feature.
Yeah, one of the other
How could you
original
forget a
Bill Tracy.
waterfall?
I,
That's your
I'm.
favorite thing.
There's another waterfall I'm more focused on. Okay.
You're the something I've always noticed is your cart goes over, so it's almost like you're on wood, like a boardwalk, and your cart goes over it. And I was always scared as a kid that would fall into the water.
I wasn't
Uh,
scared of that, but now I am.
yeah, and there's also bats flying above your head, but I think it's so dark people probably miss that often.
Yeah, it's a really, really convincing effect. Okay, and then we go to Nate's favorite room with the puns.
Oh, are they puns or supposed to be like tombstones?
Yeah, tombstones, but they're all play on words, puns, those type of thing. But is that it?
No,
What comes next?
the tunnel,
Oh, the spinning tunnel, the non-spinning tunnel.
the non-spinning tunnel, green and orange.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through there, and there's that house with the breathing
Oh
door.
yeah, which they said used to be in the Terror Ride.
Yeah, Nate, do you remember that house at the end? Do you ever remember that being in the terror ride?
I I confuse both of them.
Yeah, I don't remember that in the terror ride at all, ever. Um, but apparently it was. And then there's a skeleton standing there, which I don't think I've ever noticed. I think it's too dark. I've never noticed that skeleton. But again, I saw this on that video where it was filmed a year ago, but with a phone from like 2010 because the quality is so bad.
Oh, we forgot. They used to have a dragon in that room, in that Dracula room.
Yeah, but
I don't
that's the
remember.
part I don't remember that. That was the 2010 change.
Yeah,
I don't remember that
I don't
at
remember it
all.
either,
That
but
at all.
that thing is awesome. And I wonder where that dragon went. So then we get to, is that the end of the ride?
The water, your favorite waterfall.
Yes, then of course, you've got the waterfall and you're thinking, "Hey, I didn't sign up for this to be a wet ride because I've got water falling down." But then it turns off right before you go out. You get saved.
Yeah, I guess Bronco was a little nervous with the waterfall, thinking he was gonna get wet.
I have gotten wet before. Little bit. It's not fully on where you're drenched, but there's splashes for sure.
This has nothing to do with Dracula. We're talking about getting wet. My daughter loves Rattlesnake Rapids. So that was the last ride we did. And last year in October when we went, we rode it like 4 or 5 times in a row and got a little wet, but no big deal. But their waterfall at the end was on full blast. So there was no escaping. Like, we got drenched and I was ticked. I'm like, why? Why do you have it on full blast in the middle of October? Well, not the middle, beginning of October. So, shame on you, Lagoon. Shame on you. So we had to spend the rest. Well, we left shortly after, but just waddled to the car, just soaked. Like, I've never been that soaked on Rattlesnake Rapids before.
Really?
And I was kind of planning because there was nobody in line for it. I thought maybe they let us just like wrap around a few times. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not going through that again because it'll just get even more. Like, it was like soaking wet.
I was gonna go back to Dracula's castle with the water. Do you remember? I swear there used to be a whistle. So in Terror Ride, there's the car horn, but I swear with the water, it used to be like a really high pitched whistle and then would stop. But maybe that's wrong. That's a wrong memory. But I thought there was like a high pitched whistle with the water, and then it would shut off.
I don't know about that.
Are you calling me a liar?
We believe that you believe that did.
That's my truth, Brandon. Okay, that's my truth.
So yeah, that's Dracula's castle. I think it's got a pretty cool facade. In the Lagoon History Project, the individual goes in extensively to the different images that are carved throughout it and where they come from, which I thought was pretty cool. I won't go into all that, but I would definitely direct you there if you want to know what it is and where it comes from. Of course, yeah, we mentioned the Dracula and werewolf up in the tops where they're standing. It took me many years to actually look at that Dracula. And he's kind of funny looking, not gonna lie. Not very menacing.
Yeah, there's some close up pictures of him and it's hilarious.
There is a picture of maybe they had an actual live actor on top at one point. Maybe for an opening of the park, which that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. It's awesome that they have somebody up there.
Yeah, I would love it if they did that again. But I could see why they wouldn't. That probably is pretty scary. But last thing I want to share with you guys, if you don't mind, is a really quick video of when Dracula's castle was in a TV show. So, there you go. That was Dracula's castle. And then you get a quick shot of... So what do you guys think?
That was awesome.
Right?
But if I was listening to a podcast that had that in the background, I would be like, what is going on?
I'm gonna edit it, don't worry.
No, that the music is hilarious. The background screaming's hilarious.
It's very 80s.
And it's so 80s.
It is so 80s. That was so good.
That's from a TV show called Werewolf that only lasted one season in the 80s. And it took me a while to find it, but they did update. Someone uploaded all the episodes from the show on YouTube recently. So anyway, cool that it was highlighted. I wish they'd shown more of the ride, but it's kind of all we have to see some of those older elements of it. So many of those things in that video aren't there anymore, but pretty cool. The 50th anniversary of Dracula's Castle is coming up in the next couple of years, and there's speculation and hope that they will give it a update like they did the Terror Ride. And
I can see that.
I'm kind of on the fence. Do we want it to change? Or do we love...
We just wanted to fix the tunnel. Then we're
just
good.
fix the tunnel, that's all we ask. Fix Frankie's hands.
Fix Frankenstein.
I think with how good the Terror Rides update was, like that update's so good that I don't miss the old one. If they could do that to this one, I'd be very happy. But yeah, Frankenstein, like you got to keep him in there. Just fix his hands.
So that his hands can scan.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Matt, thanks for joining us as we embarked on this ride. Thanks for going on the ride with me so I didn't have to go alone and be so scared. Even just seeing them walk around the ride at night with the things moving, that would be terrifying.
Yeah, I was happy to go with you. It's always a fun ride, and you always notice something new every time. So, but yeah, next time we go, I really want you to point out that thing. I've never noticed it, and that's really cool. I'm fascinated by that now.
I think the hope is next year when we go back, hopefully Nate will be with us and we can all ride the Terror ride together.
All three of us in one cart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I plan on going back to Lagoon at least one more time, if not 2 more times before the end of the year. So you're more than welcome to join us.
Shall we?
As long as you're okay with Taco Bell, Nate.
Taco Bell?
It's our tradition. We get Taco Bell when we go to Frightmares.
Oh, I'd like myself some tacos.
You have to get a cheesy gordita crunch and
Oh.
Fiesta potatoes, and that's it.
All right. But we go after Lagoon, right? So we don't throw up while we're at Lagoon?
No, we go before, and then we just walk around and enjoy the sights.
And the bathrooms.
And the bathrooms. You can say all the bathrooms.
Thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
See you next week. Oh.